Hey guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to the second episode of the Citizen Podcast. Now, I did decide to call it the Citizens Podcast. Like I said, citizens with a S at the end. Because I just think the name fits better than the Citizen Movement Podcast. I think the Citizen Podcast rolls off the tongue a little bit better. So we're gonna go with that. But we got a lot to talk about. We're gonna talk about Donald Trump saying he will pardon people on January 6th. How do we feel about that? We're also going to discuss the Mar-a-Lago raid. There's some new details that are very troubling coming out about that. We are going to discuss Ted Cruz trying to ban people from getting student loan forgiveness. I'm not making this up. It's not only infuriating, but it's an idiotic political point because canceling student debt was even supported by a plurality of Republicans. Now, I don't know if it was an outright majority, but there were more for it than against it in a recent poll that I looked at, and we're going to get to that later on. But, yeah, we're going to, we have a couple other topics to get to, too. Apparently, Jordan Peterson being called out again for transphobia. But before we get to this topic of discussion, I'm going to start the show off with a little reaction to Crystal and Sagar on Breaking Points. They're debating Gavin Newsom and his electric vehicle mandate. Now, for those of you who don't know, Gavin Newsom has mandated that all California new car production be electric by 2035. Now, you might say, well, I live in Wyoming. Why does this matter to me? Well, because a lot of states have trigger laws, not for abortion, as you'll hear later on in this segment I'm reacting to. But they have trigger laws that say whatever California's vehicle standards, once they adopt new ones, they automatically become law in those particular states. Because so much of our manufacturing happens in California that the standards kind of need to be somewhat universal in order for, the market to work. So if a automaker in Texas is making cars, they're going to export a lot of their cars from Texas to California, and they need to meet the California standards so they can continue to sell there and continue to make profit. So there's a lot going on there. But without further ado, let's start the segment. And I'm not sure, this video is 7 minutes, 31 seconds. Not sure how much I'm going to get through because I've been trying to keep these episodes at an hour, but we'll see. So let's get into it. My volume's not up. All right, let's do it.
Like Joe Biden is still the guy that made it so you can't discharge student loan debt in bankruptcy. Like his entire career solidly in the neoliberal mold. But now you see a few little dabblings here. It's not because he's different, but the political environment has changed. And so I think Newsom, who is...
That's true. A lot of this stuff Biden is doing is purely political. It's not like he became a new person overnight. Like student loan forgiveness, for instance. He's the one who was voted for one of the bills that made it impossible to get any type of forgiveness or statute of limitation for student loans. So... I'm glad that Biden is canceling some student loans, but let's not forget that he's part of the problem in the first place. And that also, he said he would cancel $50,000 worth of student loans, and he's not kept that promise, despite what his campaign would have you to believe. But let's keep going.
Totally non-ideological. He's just doing what he thinks is best for him politically, finger in the wind. Mm-hmm. The fact that he sees this more muscular government approach as the thing to do to sort of like position himself for higher office, I think is very revealing about the moment we're living.
Okay. I have many criticisms of Gavin Newsom, but why did she just call an electric vehicle mandate by 2035? Which, by the way, 2035 is 13 years from now. Okay? Keep that in mind as we go out. Why is she saying this is a muscular, or this is like he's flexing his muscles of power? This is something we need to do. We need to convert from from gas vehicles to electric. Now, there are problems with electric vehicles. A lot of the power that powers the electrical grid is natural gas. We need to switch over to nuclear power. We need to switch over to solar. We need to figure out how to better produce solar panels. So, yes, there are some problems with the electric cars for sure. But, I mean, we got 13 years to figure it out. And this is something that's inevitable and that needs to happen. Like, I don't see why she's framing it as if he's doing some muscular power grab. But let's keep going.
Living.
Make California great again. I love California.
True.
I know that may be unpopular for someone like me. Look, natural beauty, unparalleled. There's just no contest.
True.
I love California.
Weather.
I do not love LA.
I will say Florida is a close second, though. And I know you guys are going to hate me because Florida is like, oh, it's a Republican state in Florida, man. I get it. But, like, look, there's nothing like South Beach. I'm sorry. Nothing like South Beach early September, man. I'm sorry. Just off of the beaches alone, like, Florida's, like, definitely in the top 3 states in America. I would say it's top 2, Florida and California. But
Not an LA thing. Sorry, LA people.
When I look at the weather charts in LA, I'm just like, I literally want to kill myself for living. But anyway, I love California, absolutely. The problem with California has always been the insane disparity in living. It's like 7 out of 10 weather, 1 out of 10 traffic, 1 out of 10 taxes, 1 out of 10 like homelessness, crime. It's like if you could just give it to 4, maybe it'd be more livable and millions of people wouldn't leave. Their issue is if you're going to...
True, and I think it's important to point out that Newsom has not dealt with any of these problems at all. Okay, he said he wanted to do something about homelessness. He's not doing it. Said he wanted to do something about the rising cost of living. But I believe he's gotten campaign donations from some of these big firms that have investments in real estate, so he doesn't really have an incentive to do anything. Now, he is doing something about insulin prices, which he signed a bill where California is now going to produce their own insulin, and they're going to sell it either at cost price or maybe for a small profit to continue running the program. But they're not going to make it for $12 and charge people $180. They're going to maybe make it for $12 and charge people $20. So that's a great program. So he has done that. But overall, I mean, he's neo-lib. He's not going to do much to improve the state of California. And that's just, unfortunately, the way things go in American politics. And we need to change that.
You're going to do it, you actually have to do it. And so, like the electric thing, you can't ban gas-powered cars and live in a place where I was telling you about...
I hate to keep pausing it, but see, no one is banning electric cars. What he's doing is saying that the new production of cars must be electric by 2035. So you can only make new electric cars. You cannot make new gas cars. Now, you can make an argument like, as he will later on in his segment, we don't have the infrastructure for electric cars, right? But we can build that infrastructure, and we should fund that infrastructure through the government and through taxes, right? And it is true. His criticism is accurate. I think that let's. I already watched this. Sorry, guys. So let's keep going.
Capable
Yeah, not have a grid.
There's no doubt
Beyond
about
the
that.
grid. There's, not everybody lives in the city in California. People live way the hell out there, 200 miles away. I was telling you about the Ford F-150.
That's a good point.
By the way, awesome car. In terms of hauling, though, its hauling capacity on that battery, not so good. So industry really does need to actually be able to meet the literal needs. Because, look, I personally think you should not ban gas-powered vehicles. You should...
No one's banning gas-powered vehicles. Like, what the hell is Sagar talking about here? Okay, no one's banning gas-powered vehicles. He said that new vehicles that are produced must be electric by 2035, okay? No one's confiscating your Ford F-150s or taking your diesel trucks.
You should simply make electric vehicles undeniable enough in order to beat them in the marketplace.
Right, but they won't do that unless they're forced to do it, because we've had the technology to make electrical vehicles for the past 20 years, and only a handful of companies have done it. Why? Because gas is more profitable. And see, when you're going by profit motive, right, alone, they will always do what's best for the pockets. So because gas cars are seen as more profitable, at least historically, than electric vehicles are, they're going to continue to make gas cars. It costs money to invest in new electric vehicles. It costs money to invest in new technology. They don't want to spend that money. They just want to keep producing the same thing they've been producing. So you have to have the government come in and say, hey, okay, you guys can't produce this anymore. It's a deadline. Now, you could argue about when the deadline should be, and I'm willing to have a nuanced discussion on that. But let's be honest. What are we going to do? 2080? 2100? Like, we should have done this 20 years. We should have been investing in this technology in the 1990s, okay? Before I was born. I was born 95. We should have been investing in this in like 92, okay? When we first knew this was a problem. But people didn't have the foresight to do it, and they didn't have the motivation to do it because, hey, we want to continue making money off of gas guzzlers. Who cares if we burn half the California forest? But let's keep going.
You should have it so the gas is always an option and make it for the people who want it. Very specific.
No, we should not have it as gas should always be an option. Gas should not always be an option. We need to get rid of fossil fuels. We need to stop burning gas. It is harmful to the environment. And also, too, another point that somebody pointed out is we need to also have more gas reserves because despite the environmental problems and us possibly, burning the planet down, there are solar storms and all type of things that could eventually knock out our electrical power grid. And we might need gas as a backup source, okay? Natural gas is a backup source. Now, you might say, oh, well, scientists say we have enough natural gas to last for the next 200 years or whatever. And sure, that might be the case. But we don't know that definitively. It's just an estimate, number one. Number two, who's to say that we're going to find, besides electricity and gas or like wind energy, that we're going to magically find like 30 alternative power sources in the next 300 years. So we need to be saving the natural gas in the event that our electrical grids do get destroyed by a solar storm or some like cosmic event that's beyond our control. That's another reason, besides the environment, for us to stop using these fuels. But yes, we need to get completely off of them. I don't care if it's by 2035, if it's by 2050, but we need to stop using them, period. But this bill does not force people to stop using gas cars. I will say that a million times. This bill is only talking about the production of new vehicles.
Right? There's diesel trucks, guys who you get the big ass Ford, whatever. I don't even know what they're called. Mm-hmm. Some big guys need them. Most don't. But a lot of people do need them. And, I just generally don't believe in banning stuff like that and making it available.
I mean, it is interesting, though, because, this is actually, California typically leads the way in terms of setting the national standards for car emission.
Crystal Ball, I love Crystal, but like lately she's been getting on my nerves. Like he said like 5 times something that's untrue. You're the person on the left, right? So you're supposed to be ideologically left-leaning. Now, that does not mean that if you don't agree with something like on the left, right? That like, for instance, left-wing people believe you should ban AR-15s or assault weapons. I'm not really for an assault weapons ban because any gun owner will tell you, like, assault weapons is just an ambiguous term. Like, tell me what, at least if you're going to ban guns, all right, fair enough. Tell me what specific guns you want to ban so we can be clear. Don't just make like a broad category, assault weapons. You can make, like, they're guns. They're all assault weapons, So I don't agree with an assault weapons ban. I agree with red flag laws and raising the minimum age to buy an AR-15 or other quote-unquote assault rifles until you're 21. That's my belief, personally. So I'm not saying you can never disagree with the left. I disagree sometimes with the left. But when he's saying something that's obviously untrue, which Soccer is saying here, hey, he wants to ban electric cars. Why are you not clapping back on that? I just don't understand. All right. This is going on way longer than I wanted it to, so I'm just going to stop here. The entire video is 7 minutes. I do think that some of his points about needing more infrastructure to power these electric cars and stuff that he talks about later on in the video are based. But I have a solution for it. The government should get involved and get the pushing, right? He even talks about later on in this segment, like how we shouldn't be relying on Tesla to power all electric vehicles. We should have some type of infrastructure set up. And I'm like, yeah, that's correct. So I don't want to make it like I'm totally against Sagar and Crystal here. I think they're both good actors. I don't always agree with everything they say on their show, but I do want to make it clear that Newsom is not banning anything, and this is actually one of the better policies that Gavin Newsom has done. So, yes, do I support this policy 110%? And I think that anyone who cares about their children having a future, environmentally speaking, should do the same. Okay, so I'll leave this video link below if you want to watch it, as well as all my other sources in the future. So, all right, so let's move on. Ted Cruz, the guy that nobody likes and has no friends. The guy who has to, I'm not going to go there. All right, anyway, Ted Cruz is coming out of the woodworks, the whole so-called we are the Republican Party, and the Republican Party is the party of the workers. Well, now he's coming out of the woodworks to screw the workers. All right? This is in the Dallas Morning News. Ted Cruz explores ways to block President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness. Texas Republican acknowledges hurdles to court challenges as conservatives maul lawsuits. Now, before we go on, is it possible that the Supreme Court just becomes activist and overturns this? It's possible, but the precedent for Biden eliminating student loan debt is so strong and so straightforward that I'm not saying they wouldn't, because we shouldn't put anything past conservative judges. But I'm not saying that they wouldn't do it, but the language is so clear that if they did do it, it would almost immediately cause so much outrage from not just regular people, but also from a legal perspective. Because as much as I supported Roe versus Wade, the framework that they used, although I believe it was the correct framework, can be interpreted a little more ambiguously compared to who's in there. Student loan forgiveness is just straight up says Biden has the power in a time of crisis, this is what he used, to eliminate this debt during a time of crisis, such as a pandemic or whatever. And, there's a list of different type of crises, but war, so he straight up has the power to do this. So overturning this would basically just be like literally saying, fuck you. The law doesn't matter. I'm the law, bitch. Like, that's basically what they would have to do to overturn it. Okay. And I don't think that that's going to happen, but I won't say they won't, because, we've seen some of the things that the Supreme Court's overturned. So, but let's get to the nitty gritty of this. So, Ted Cruz has been an outspoken critic of what he describes as an illegal move by the Biden administration to forgive up to $20,000 in federal student loan borrowers. Illegal move? Like, what's your basis for that? The Washington Post this week identified the Texas Republican as one of the prominent conservatives considering options to stop the plan as right-leaning law firms research the potential for court challenges. This is a quote. They have to find a client with standing gumption to take on the lawsuit. John Malcolm, the director of the Mises Center at the Heritage Foundation. Oh, God, these people. I hate the Heritage Foundation. Oh, my God. These people are just the worst. Like, we're the foundation of American heritage, and then they spend all their money and time blocking whatever's good for American people. Anyway, there are several groups in our network who are exploring that right now. That meaning, finding a way to overturn student loan forgiveness. So, yeah, during a recent podcast, Cruz highlighted the hurdles to finding a plaintiff the courts would recognize as having standing to bring such a case. He cited the example of plumbers, presumably referring to those in the trade who don't have outstanding college loans themselves. Cruz said those are plumbers getting screwed by taxpayers to fund the loan forgiveness plan while not receiving any benefit from it. But then he adds he has a long-standing reluctance to recognize the plaintiff's standing based on such rationale. So he knows this. All right, Ted Cruz is a lawyer, okay? He went to law school. He knows that this argument is complete BS. He's doing this to score cheap political points. But points with who? I told you guys earlier on the show that obviously the majority of Democrats support student loan forgiveness. Like, I think it's it was somewhere between 58 and 64% of the country. So the majority of Americans support this. Is overwhelmingly supported by Democrats, and by some measures, even a plurality of Republicans support it. Now, I'm going to try to find that statistic for you. I apologize for not having it pulled up. And I do want to say that poll is an outlier, that a lot of Republican polls actually show the majority of Republicans do not support the student loan forgiveness. Let's see here if we can find it. Polls, Republicans, student loan forgiveness. Yeah. Let's see. So, new poll shows wide support of. Let's see here. Okay, this is ensa.com. I've never actually heard of this website. Part of me wants to get something more mainstream, but this does look like they're talking about specifically Republicans. So I'm going to keep looking for this. But yeah, this is overwhelmingly popular with Americans. And Ted Cruz doesn't like that. So he wants to overturn it. And even a lot of Republicans are like, yeah, we have to do something about student loans. Like, there was a video in CNN which I'll get to later in the segment, where a lot of Republicans are coming out saying, hey, I don't like Joe Biden, but I mean, look, this is a good thing. Or at least, yeah, somebody has to do something. I'm not sure if this is it, but we definitely have to do something about it. So, yeah, there's like a lot of support for this. And what does Ted Cruz want to do? He wants to take it away. Why? Because he wants you to pull it up by your bootstraps. He wants you to struggle, And he said, if you have a loan, you need to pay it back, which is ridiculous. We talked about this on last week's segment. All these Republicans saying, oh, if you take out a loan, you have to pay it back. You need to pay it back. You took out the loan, you signed the contract, and paid it back. And then they took out PPP loans and didn't pay them back and got loan forgiveness. Some of them to the tune of $3.4 million in Congress. And these are people who are already rich, who have more than enough resources to pay back these loans. But they're willing to take a government handout, quote unquote, when it benefits them. But when it benefits your everyday regular person who's working at Starbucks, or who's working an office job, or maybe like a construction worker who had to take out student loans to go to trade school, when it benefits regular working people, they want to get rid of it. And they want to say, oh, this is elitism because mostly rich people are getting this. My ass. 90% of the benefits are going to people who make $70,000 a year or less. So most of this is going towards working class people. And a good portion of these people are making under $40,000. So this is going to poor people into middle. I don't want to say middle class because I think the idea of a middle class is a myth. But poor people and working people. These are not rich people. Okay, they're not even making six figures. These are people who are making regular income. And by the way, that's household income. So if the household earns $70,000 a year, that means that probably the husband's making like $35,000-$40,000 and the wife's making $30,000-$35,000, and collectively their income's around $70K. So these people aren't even making that much money. Okay? And Ted Cruz is saying this is illegal when it's clearly not. We already talked about it last week, but for those of you just tuning in, there are 4 different ways that Biden could legally eliminate student loan debt. Not just $10,000, $20,000, but all of it. The statute he's using is a statute in the U.S. Department of Education that gives the president the authority to eliminate student loan debt through the secretary of the Department of Education. I think it's secretary. Is it secretary, or do they just call him the head? I'm pretty sure it's secretary. But the secretary of the Department of Education, the president can direct him to eliminate loans related to student debt in times of what? In times of emergency. So a war, a pandemic, some type of crisis that could happen. Yes, the president can eliminate their loan debt legally. And this is the law of the land. So I think it's funny how Ted Cruz is going on this radio show saying this is illegal and it's a government takeover of education, and they're just letting liberal coffee students, Starbucks workers, pay for their loans when they shouldn't be getting anything paid for, and we're going to challenge this in court. But actually, we probably won't be able to challenge it in court very well, but we're going to try. Idiotic, man, idiotic, and it's not even politically popular. And look, Republicans are losing steam. Like, even in Texas is like one of the reddest of the red states. Like, there's like Alabama, there's like Texas, and Alabama may be redder, but Texas, Mississippi, Kentucky, these are places that almost always go to GOP. Some polls are showing that the governor's race is like within a margin of error, which is crazy because usually Democrats get pounced on when they run for governor against Republicans in Texas, but Republicans are losing so much popularity because of abortion, because of blocking Joe Biden's, trying to block Joe Biden's infrastructure bills and things he's wanted to pass. And now they're coming out against student loans. So it's no wonder that Beto O'Rourke, which is like a neoliberal milquetoast Democrat, is within a margin of error. Oh, and let's not forget gun control. Within a margin of error to beat somebody like Greg Abbott, right? And honestly, it'll only be a matter of time before Ted Cruz is facing a challenger. I believe that'll be within a margin of error for him. Now, will he lose? Probably not, because it's really hard to lose once you're an incumbent, and also the gerrymandering and things are so ridiculous that they make sure that, particularly with the House, but also with the Senate as well, they basically make sure that they can get you back in. Gerrymander is more so the House, not the Senate, but it is hard to lose as an incumbent, okay? It's next to impossible to beat an incumbent. Like, incumbents win like 80% of the time. So I don't think Ted Cruz is going to lose his election, but yeah. Oh, and this part I wanted to read you too. After he was saying all that about plumbers are getting screwed, he followed it up with, as a general matter, just being a taxpayer is not sufficient for the courts to conclude you have a standing to the challenge of expenditure of funds. You have to find someone who was harmed by the expenditure of funds. It's just like, he admits right here that he can't really challenge this and that they don't really have a legal path to challenge it. Now, I will say this until I no longer have a voice. For anyone who is saying that it's not fair to forgive student loans because other people had student loans and did not get them forgiven, that's just emotional, idiotic, non-intellectual argument to make. I'll tell you why. Imagine student loans is a bad system, right? It's a corrupt system because it doesn't allow people to get out of debt. Also, it allows colleges to jack up the prices super high because they know the government's just going to pay for them with loans, which is another problem. But imagine if we said, hey guys, I know slavery is bad, but we can't just eliminate slavery. What about all the other people who were slaves? They had to go through it. Or, hey guys, I know we want to give women the right to vote, but that's not fair. All these other women didn't get to vote and they died, so maybe no woman should vote. Or how about this? Hey, the highway system is not fair that there should be a national highway system so you can drive from San Francisco to New York. Your great-great-great-great-grandfather had to do it on a horse and buggy on dirt roads. So, obviously, this would not be fair to fund this project to the people who didn't get the benefit from it. You don't get the benefit from everything in life. I'm sorry. You don't get the benefit from everything in life. And you can't use people being wronged in the past as an excuse to wrong people in the future. Like, that's something I always hated. Like, oh, well, like, I'd be like a parent saying, oh, well, when I was your age, I had to work 4 jobs to make sure this, that, and the third. Yes, good. That's terrible. But, like, you would say to that parent, well, didn't you do that so that I didn't have to, so I could have a better life, right? You know, like, all those people, you didn't just struggle for 50 years so that I could be in the same position as you, right? And that would sound ridiculous, right? And it sounds equally as ridiculous when Ted Cruz says that people should suffer with student loans because some 64-year-old plumber didn't get his forgiven in 1987. Just ridiculous. And And also, a word of advice on Republicans: maybe you should not run on anything else that's unpopular, because this is why a year that should be a red wave year, otherwise, is going to end up being a slugfest, and it's going to be close. And the Democrats might even maintain control of all three branches of government. Actually, you know what? Don't tell them that. Just let them keep doing what they're doing, because they're helping us out. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next part of our segment. We got to talk about this Mar-a-Lago raid. So this is in USA Today. The FBI found dozens of empty classified folders at Trump's Mar-a-Lago. What was in them? Empty folders. Included in the inventory of documents seized from Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate that were made public Friday, there were two lines that set social media afire because they suggested the possibility that the former president took with him and still possesses even more classified material than is previously known. So in other words, they're still missing classified documents. And by the way, these aren't just classified. Some of these are top secret that are not allowed to leave a secure room, like nuclear documents, for instance. And 48 of these are missing. Now, Donald Trump, he should go to jail, period, because he's committed crimes, right? And I know what you're saying, like, oh, a lot of other presidents committed crimes. Oh, Hillary committed crimes. Yeah, Hillary should go to jail too, because she's also a criminal. Joe Biden should go to jail for his crimes. George W. Bush, oh, don't even get me started. Him and Dick Cheney should be under the jail. So yes, all former presidents who committed crimes should be in jail, right? However, the stuff that Donald Trump is now being accused of, not only misplacing documents, but maybe outright losing them, or maybe transferring them somewhere. Like, this is crazy, and like, I know there's a conspiracy theory floating around that Donald Trump wanted to sell nuclear secrets to the Saudis so that they can make their own nuclear weapons. Now, Saudi Arabia, they've wanted nuclear weapons for years. They've wanted to make them, and they want to become a world power, right? A nuclear power. And they've been trying to make them for years, right? And now we don't have any proof. I will say this. We have no proof that this is true. That's why I say conspiracy theory. But it does seem plausible now that we found that there are 48 missing folders, that something fishy may be going on. And look, you guys might say, oh, well, why would Donald Trump give our nuclear secrets to another country? Well, this has happened before. Someone, I'm not sure if they were from the U.S. or the United Kingdom, but someone gave Israel nuclear secrets, and Israel now has an undisclosed amount of nuclear weapons. Okay? They gave them the capacity to make nuclear weapons. They didn't just, get nukes out of thin air, right? So how did Israel get nuclear weapons? Well, someone gave them the technology so they can make them, right? In America, we've done this before. This is not the first time, right? So Trump could barely well be doing the same thing with Saudi Arabia. Now, I'm not saying that he is. We do not have proof of it. But there's definitely some smoke, and I want to know what's going on with this fire. Because Donald Trump is taking millions of millions. I think he's taking $100 million from the Saudis for their Live Golf tournament. He took I think $68,000 through his hotel while he was in office, which is a violation of the Monuments Clause. And Jared Kushner got $1 billion investment from them that the Saudi firms were like, we're not giving this guy $1 billion. And then, MBS, the head of Saudi Arabia, the crown prince, overrode them and said, give him the money. So we're talking about billions and billions of dollars, almost like at least $1.3 billion so far going to Donald Trump or his family. Jared Kushner is the one who got the $1 billion investment. That's his wife's husband. Excuse me, his daughter's husband. Pardon me. Wife's husband. I can't talk. That's his daughter's husband. So his son-in-law gets $1 billion. He gets hundreds of millions from the Saudis. He got tens of thousands from them that we know of while he was in office. And who knows how much more he could have got. And now all of a sudden 48 nuclear documents are missing. 48. Now you could say, oh, there is the argument that, hey guys, maybe the folder was just empty, right? That's what I thought. But I thought about it and said, what are the odds of having 48 empty top secret folders? Think about that. 48 of them? No way. No way. Something fishy is going on. Now, there's also the possibility that these have nothing to do with nuclear arms. Maybe this is like stuff about Donald Trump himself that he didn't want to get out. But either way, even if it was just we took the files and we lost some of them and we made a mistake, he should still go to jail because he shouldn't have been allowed to take these files in the first place. But there you have it, guys. Empty files, right? Empty files, just lying around. Crazy, right? It's like, I don't know. This also shows that the fact that this guy was the president of the United States. And he's either this incompetent or this nefarious. I mean, I just can't believe we let a guy like this become the president, man. Look at the things that he's done. Oh my God, this guy's a criminal. He needs to go to jail. They got to get him on something. They got to get him on something. They have to. And I really hope they do. Because, it's possible that this guy is just totally giving away our government secrets. Or maybe he lost them. Oh, and by the way, too, there was a report from the Intelligence Department that said in 2021, which is when Trump had taken some other nuclear files, an alarming number of U.S. spies either got compromised, killed, or captured. Right? Now, you could say, and it was around the same time where he took some classified documents. Now, you could say, oh, well, maybe those things had nothing to do with each other. And maybe they didn't. Well, I don't know, Doug. They were happening around the same time. I don't know. Maybe it's possible that Trump did lose those documents. But losing the documents, is very problematic. Because you could be putting people at risk. And even his own staff member, one of his own staff members, I can't remember the guy's name, said, oh, we have people in those rooms all the time with classified information. He literally just came out and said it. I'm just like, what? So you're admitting to Donald Trump and you committing crimes while Donald Trump was in the White House. It's crazy. But I know that was a little bit of a rant.
They have a car.
And, sorry about that. I know it was a little rant. And, I'd intended to talk about one specific thing. I kind of started going in circles a little bit, but man, this is troubling that 48 files are still missing. And we don't know. Did Donald Trump lose them? Did he give them to a foreign government? Is he holding on to them for some other reason? We just have no idea. And who knows, man? Who knows what type of secrets protecting our national security or interests could be out there? Just waiting for somebody to exploit. So I think it's fair to say this now. Lock him up. Okay, lock him up. Put him in jail. Lock him up because he's committed so many crimes against the government. On top of the fact that he's also committed other crimes as well. Tax fraud and things like that. So yeah, this is a bad guy. He needs to go to jail. Moving on, we're going to react to this Majority Report segment talking about Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson doubles down on transphobia and calls Sports Illustrated models' remarks incautious. Interesting. I've not seen this video. First time seeing it, reacting to it. We'll see how much of it we get through. And by the way, I'm sorry, you guys, that we don't have the visuals for this. I'm still working on setting this up. I'm sorry things aren't on Spotify, but I have to purchase a microphone and have the setup to be a lot better before we can start uploading episodes. So it'll just be YouTube for now, but things will get better, I promise. But without further ado, let's react to this Majority Report video.
On a podcast with Comment Magazine's Jonathan
Start that again.
Jordan Peterson was on a podcast with Comment Magazine's Jonathan Pajou, I don't know how to pronounce his name, and writer Greg Hurwitz. And this seems like Hurwitz apparently is a little critical of Jordan Peterson's recent tweets where he dead named Elliot Page.
Yeah.
And
went
and then
after
also-
that model on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Oh, right. He was
because-
mad because it wasn't his vision of beauty.
Yeah,
Not
sorry.
attractive. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not
Wokesters.
beautiful.
Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but a few months ago, Jordan Peterson had a tweet where he said, Elliot Page, Pride. Remember when Pride used to be a sin? And Elliot Page had her breast removed by a criminal surgeon. Now, for those of you who don't know, what he's referring to, he said Ellen Page had her breast removed by a criminal surgeon. Sorry, I got that mixed up. So for those of you who don't know who Ellen Page or Elliot Page is, Elliot Page is an actor and is a trans man who used to be Ellen Page, and they transitioned from a female body to a male body, right? And said, hey, I feel that inside that I am a male. I felt like this for a long time. This is, I feel this true to my identity. You know, this is how I want to live my life. And I am going to physically transition to what I already feel that I am inside of my brain, mentally speaking. Okay. So, you could call it, now, to me, I think this is a no-brainer. If someone feels that they are male and they want to transition and they're an adult, okay, fair enough. They should be able to do that. They're an adult, right? And to me, I do feel like some people do feel like they're born in the wrong gender, right? And also, to the fact that we just have two gender binaries is problematic in and of itself, because most cultures throughout history have had multiple gender binaries. You can look at Native Americans, had 5 or 6 in some cultures before Americans came over and were like, Europeans came over and said, oh, this is a disgrace. It's not Christian, and converted them to Christianity, often by force, and, said, hey, you will practice 2 gender binaries, male and female, and that's it, right? But there are many cultures where they have multiple gender binaries, so that's a problem in and of itself. But back to the topic on hand. So Elliot Page used to be Ellen Page, transitioned to Elliot Page. And Jordan Peterson basically came out and said that this was criminal, that a doctor would do a transition surgery like this. Now, he got a lot of backlash from people on the left. The Majority Report actually was some of the first people to cover it. I know Kyle Kalinske had him on Secular Talk a couple months back and really pressed him on it as well. Okay? And, he's pretty much has been doubling down on this for a while. But let's go back to the video. Let's see what he has to say here.
He was unable to put it in his spank bank. So
That's right.
My
spank bank runneth dry. Therefore, I am unhappy.
society is sick.
I love Sam's impression of Jordan.
Society has got an illness that they're putting the girl I'm not attracted to on the Sports Illustrated
The profound narcissism of it is amazing to me.
The narcissism's pretty impressive.
It's
yeah.
kind of like in the top 3 of just
Actually a
hilarious
good-looking
wrinkles.
guy.
But here is Jordan Peterson. I would almost say doubling down on.
He also said that a model was not beautiful because she had stretch marks and like wrinkles or curves or whatever. And looking at the girl, at first, look, I wanted to be like, okay, well, maybe this girl was like super, super overweight and maybe he thought she wasn't attractive. And that's an opinion that maybe a lot of people have but won't say, right? So I kind of wanted to give him some leeway until I saw the girl. I'm like, oh no, he's tripping. I mean, she has a little bit of, I guess, rolls or love handles, whatever you want to call it. But I think most men will find this woman somewhat attractive. And it wasn't like she was like my 600-pound lifing it out here. You know, she had a pretty nice body, man, to be honest. And me personally, I took less offense to this because I'm like, Jordan's he thinks women's body should be a certain way and stuff. And we also do have an obesity crisis and stuff. So I personally took less offense to this, but people online were not having it. They were grinding him up so bad. And that he quit using Twitter. They said, I'm not using Twitter anymore. And then he did come back to use Twitter eventually to say these anti-trans inflammatory comments. And now he's banned from Twitter. Which I don't agree with the ban because I think that if it's not direct threats of violence or doxing, that it should be allowed pretty much. Like we should expand the public, social media should be the new public square. We should regulate it like public utilities, but the backlash he's receiving for this is well deserved. But let's get to the clip.
On his transphobia. I don't know how else to express this. And it really does explain why he has no problem dead naming people, and that he's not just doing this by mistake, that he's doing this because he is ideologically opposed to the recognition or normalization of the concept of transgenderism.
So,
totally.
So what you're saying, though, is that he is being strategic, and when he got suspended from Twitter for dead naming Elliot Page around the same time that his Daily Wire Plus show was launching, which is a total coincidence, that he perhaps was not completely taken aback.
They definitely did that on purpose. These right-wing people, he might have even made the tweet on purpose to get banned. Now, look, I'm not sure if he did or if he was just saying his thoughts and he ended up getting banned, but they definitely used it to capitalize on. The right loves to claim that they're being censored and that no one's listening to their ideas anymore and that they're being persecuted, and they love to have a persecution complex. Now, look, in this case, I do think he was being censored. I do think that he should have been allowed to state his opinion, but your opinion is unpopular, it's inflammatory, and it's hateful towards a specific group of people, and the majority of society today is not rocking with that. So you can't be upset that you're getting backlash for, like, you know, saying that a woman is not beautiful because she's literally 5 pounds overweight, or purposely calling a trans person like Elliot Page, Ellen Page, just to prove a political point. You know, you can't expect not to get backlash, Jordan. You know, and I think the backlash is well deserved. But again, let's get back to the majority report. Sorry, I know I interrupt a lot, guys. I just have a lot to say.
By said suspension.
Boom, boom. Shocking. All right, but here he is.
Yeah, right. But I don't think it's reasonable to say that I shouldn't have gone after the trans minor problem because I didn't simultaneously go after the porn problem.
But you didn't go after a
the
trans minor problem in a way that made any sense because you
I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
Let's say, like, Elliot Page is not
A rapid onset gender dysphoria convert who spent too long at Marlborough School in LA.
Man, sorry guys, there's an ad. I'm going to mute it so you know guys don't have to listen to the agony of capitalist advertising. Okay, here we go.
Maybe. Okay, I don't believe so. We could
And
just
I think
Hold on, let's rewind that.
Elliot Page is not a rapid onset gender dysphoria convert who spent too long at Marlboro School in LA?
Maybe.
This
Maybe.
Okay, I don't believe so. We could just
And I think you could make a case that he isn't.
But he did it when this was not trendy. He did it when Ellen Page walked away from a lucrative
Right,
career.
but people can be unbelievably confused for a very long period of time. And the mere fact that it's been a long time that they've been confused doesn't mean that they've thought it through when they make their decision.
But you're assuming that the person is confused. See, this is the problem. Anytime that someone says they feel or believe something that's outside of your ideological framework, oh, well, you're confused. You're confused. No, maybe the person just doesn't agree with you. Maybe they just see things differently. Like, see, this is the thing. Like, whenever a right-wing person, like Jordan Peterson, and I do think he's very right-wing in his political ideology, even though I very much like him as a person. I like his social views. I said social views. Psychological views and his self-help stuff. And I do think it's helped a lot of people. It certainly helped me. But when it comes to politics, whenever someone says something that's ideologically opposite to what they believe, they're so caught up in their own right-wing bubble that they say anyone who doesn't agree with me is confused. Now, I do think sometimes people are confused when they don't agree with me. Like, for instance, some of the people who believe that the election was stolen, I do think that they've been given misinformation. But generally speaking, when people have a point on the right, like, for instance, abortion, I believe that it's murdering a baby. No, I think they actually believe abortion is murdering a baby. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, you're confused. And if you would just listen to everything I have to say, you would change your opinion. Now, that might be true for some people, but some people won't change their opinion because they hold these beliefs, right? So if somebody has a belief that they personally have in their head, right? I'm not just going to automatically assume that just because it's different from mine that they're confused. Now, look, they might be confused, okay? They might be misinformed. That's a possibility, but that's not my first assumption. I assume that, okay, this person believes this because it makes sense in their ideological framework. Like, for instance, my dad is a minister and he's a Christian. I think that Christianity is not a real thing. I don't believe in God. I am an atheist. However, given his worldview and his experiences, I think that it makes sense that he believes in God and that he believes in his religion, and that the religion that he believes in makes the most sense for his life based on his said experiences. But what I'm not going to do is say, oh, he's just confused because he doesn't know enough about evolution, so therefore that's why he believes in God, and trivialize someone else's view just because it doesn't align with mine. Like, I think even if you would think a person is wrong, you have to give them more grace and room to operate than that. And I'm not sure who this guy is who's talking to Jordan, but credit to him for challenging Jordan on this ideology and giving him pushback, because a lot of people don't know how to give him pushback because of the way the manner in which he speaks when he's debating people. So,
And I would say it hasn't been thought through because
anyone-
it wouldn't have been public. That's the thing. It's like, okay, you did it. No
Everything
problem.
you think through wrong is public, and we're having a whole conversation about the.
yes, tell him. So Jordan's like, oh, well, why does it have to be public? Well, he's like, well, your thoughts are public. Fucking owned him. Let's keep going. I got too excited.
The fact that you make mistakes.
Right, but
So
I'm not enticing adolescent girls to sterilize themselves.
Okay, but are you enticing when you make that comment about a swimsuit model, young men who worship you and think that you're saint-like to act like pigs to women?
No, but I might be encouraging them to not respect the things I'm saying because I'm being incautious. And I would say even if the...
Wait. We have to, this is just, it is unbelievable. The capacity of this man to say the most inane things.
Dude, what? I might be encouraging them to... what are you talking about, bro? All right.
In the most obtuse of ways.
Yeah.
so that you're basically left just sort of thinking like, did he say something that was reasonable there? No, actually he said something that was completely pathetic.
And also kind of inscrutable. Like he's saying that the people who follow him should not respect what he's saying if he's saying something incautious. But like, then why say it?
Okay, yeah, we don't need to do any more of this. So he's basically admitting, this is crazy. He's basically admitting like, well, I shouldn't have said what I said, but he's still doubling down on it. Like he basically just said that young boys shouldn't respect him because he's saying something incautious, right? They should throw that out basically. But this is my problem. If you think that's true, right? Let's assume for a minute that's not a load of BS. It's true. Then why would you say it? Number one, and number two, why should they believe anything you say? Wouldn't that undermine like all your credibility? And I think it's ridiculous. It's like that he's even still saying like, oh well, Elliot Page, and you see how uncomfortable he was saying him. Elliot Page might be encouraging other young girls to translate and get mutilating surgery. So basically the argument is, if we have too many trans people, the kids might see it and go trans. That's the same thing they said about gay people. Like, oh, well, if we have too many gay people in our society, what if all the kids start going gay and we become extinct? They were making these arguments like in the 1950s. And here we are years later and that hasn't happened. Okay? So it's just like, I don't know, this is just fear-mongering and stuff. At this late date, I'm surprised that after all the backlash he's gotten, he's doubling down on it. Like, when it comes to his political takes and political views, at least on social issues, Jordan Peterson is going full right-wing at this point. Now, to be fair, on issues like healthcare and stuff like that, he's from Canada. I do think he's an advocate of the Canadian system of healthcare, which is moderately left-wing. So I'm not going to say, like, all his ideology is right-leaning and stuff, but a lot of it is. And let's be honest, just doubling down on this, not a smart decision at all, Jordan. Not a smart decision at all. But, I don't know, hilarious. By the way, guys, I'm trying something new with these reactions. So if you guys like the reaction, me reacting to people's videos, then let me know in the comments. I'll keep doing it. Or if you don't like it, maybe you hate it, let me know. So, all right, we're going to do our last portion of this segment here. So, Donald Trump, once again, talking about how he's going to pardon people on January 6th. So, this is an MSNBC article. How Trump's promised perks for January 6th rioters could help form the next mob. In talks of his financial support for January 6th mob, he's sending signals to the next one. Former President Donald Trump is all but certain to run for president again, and he's sending increasingly clear signals that he'd like to form another January 6th style mob to help him secure the White House. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is MSNBC. It sounds hyperbolic. Normally, I would agree. I don't think so this time. I think that he literally would try the exact same thing again, and you'll see why in a few minutes. So, in a Thursday interview with right-wing radio host Wendy Bell, Trump alleged that he's now offering a growing suite of services for January 6th defendants. Financial support, and if he makes it back into the White House, pardons and formal government apologies. Formal government apologies. Quote, I am financially supporting the people that are incredibly, and they went into my office actually 2 days ago, so they're very much in my mind. It's a disgrace what they've done to them. He also claims, if I win, I will be looking very, very strongly about pardons, full pardons. That could mean trying to spring... That could mean trying to spring January 6th rioters who are in prison if he were to become president. Oh, and also, Is Trump actually, it says here also, is Trump actually financially supporting January 6th defendant? There's good reason to be skeptical. As the Washington Post notes, Trump won't even help pay the legal fees of his blindly loyal attack dog, Rudy Giuliani, before scamming people as president. He scammed people who put the trust in. Yeah, so he might be lying about the financial support. But I think he's serious about the pardons. I do. And now, look, should these people be pardoned? Well, this is what I had to say. I treat pardoning the January 6 people like I would treat pardoning Black Lives Matter members. So, protest people. People protesting during Black Lives Matter, right? So people stayed out too late past curfew to keep protesting, or maybe like if somebody bursted down doors to a store and like people followed them in the store, you know, I think those people should be let go. Now, the people who damaged the property, the people who kicked in the doors, the people who set up dynamite sticks on ATMs, you know, who might have caused, breaking and entering, like any violent acts, I think those people should be arrested. Now, the people who are, like, if you, like, stole a pair of Converses out of a store that was already looted or something, I don't really think that those people need to be in prison, okay? You know, I think they just kind of they made a dumb decision or whatever, but don't give this person, like, some type of charge that will affect them for the rest of their life, right? I looked at the January 6th the same way. The people who had zip ties or maps of the Capitol, the people who actually broke the doors, the people who mauled cops and assaulted cops, those people should be in jail. Or the people who just went in and took some pictures and, were waving their flags or whatever, looking goofy, I don't think those people need to be in prison, okay? I think they did something dumb. Maybe give them some community service, give them a fine, but let them go. Don't put those people in jail, right? Donald Trump is not thinking this way. Donald Trump has a complete unnuanced view of this. He wants to pardon the people who are full stop, everybody on January 6th. He calls them, sorry about that, he calls them patriots, okay? He calls them patriots, and he wants the people who are in prison for committing crime. Look, I think they said 700-something people were charged with assault. He thinks those people should be free. No, they should not. Okay? If you assault someone, you go to jail and you stay in jail. Okay? Now, look, you could argue about there's different degrees of assault. Like, say, a bar fight's technically assault. I don't think anyone should go to jail for a drunken bar fight. They didn't mean. You could probably apologize. They didn't mean it, right? But I'm talking about an intentional assaulting of police officers or Capitol security, or God forbid if they got into them Congress people, or even just a regular person like a Democrat who might have been a counter protester, regular civilian person. These people, like, that's intentional violence to me, directed towards a certain people. It's not like a heat of the moment thing. Like, you are assaulting someone physically. You should be going to jail, and I'm totally fine with you getting the max amount of time that you can get. Like, if it's 5 years, yeah, I think you should go for 5. And now people might say, well, but aren't you a progressive, right? Aren't you a progressive? Don't you believe in criminal reform? And I'll say this. I believe that things that aren't actually crimes, or things that aren't serious crimes, shouldn't get, like, serious punishments, right? Like, if somebody is drunk and they get mad at someone and spit on them, that's battery. But they shouldn't be charged the same as, like, a person who throws a brick into somebody's car, okay? Like, there are levels to it. So I'm about punishing fairly for the offense. Also, I don't want to see people going to jail, generally speaking, for nonviolent crimes like drug use or even, like, theft. Like, if you steal something out the store, like, maybe they should work an hour to pay restitution or something or whatever. Like, but I'm not a fan of seeing people go to jail for just these, like, petty crimes. But if you're actually committing crimes like assault, if you're smashing windows and destroying property, if you're suffocating police officers trying to push a door, anything of that nature, you should be in prison. And I'm totally fine with you being there for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, because there has to be consequences to those actions. So I'm tough on crime when it's actually crimes. But apparently Donald Trump thinks that giving these people pardons is what he should do. Right? He thinks that he should give these people pardons because they're patriots. And it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace what they've done to them. Disgrace, right? No, what the disgrace is defacing the Capitol and trying to break into the Capitol to stop an official proceeding to transfer power peacefully, to put up a gallows outside and yell, "Hang Mike Pence," and then try to go in and actually find Mike Pence to hang him. That's a disgrace. Okay? That is the disgrace. Not the fact that some of the Boogaloo Boys or Proud Boys or whatever got arrested and are facing time for their crimes. No, they should be facing time for their crimes. They're fucking criminals, okay? But it just goes to show you Donald Trump, he's far right. He's going further and further down that rabbit hole. This is pure blown fascism now, where you want to, he said a couple weeks ago, execute drug dealers and give them the death penalty. But, like, I'm not talking about, like, Pablo Escobar, which I'm against the death penalty, period. But even, like, people in your local neighborhood who are selling dime bags, he thinks those people should be executed like they do in China. But break into a government building, assault police, and perhaps cause the death of 3 people, Nah, I think those people should be let out. This is just pure fascism, man. We, the Democrats, better hold their breath that this guy does not get reelected, because who knows what he might do at this point. I really, 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 really hope he gets indicted and convicted on something, so that he cannot and will not be the next president of the United States. Because as much as I think, hey, things are swinging left, everybody's upset about what's going on with January 6th, and everybody's upset about abortion, Roe versus Wade, and they're all going to vote Democrat. It's going to be close, guys. It's going to be close. And what Republicans have proven, whether it was in 2000 with George W. Bush, which was more of a legal way to steal an election, or in January 6th, if they have the opportunity to try to steal something, they will. Okay? And by the way, this is not talking about like your run-of-the-mill Republican voters who might have voted for Obama but then voted for Trump or whatever, or independent. No, I'm talking about the politicians. They will steal it. And some of it there is a subsection of the voters, to about 30% of the Republican base, who will just go along with whatever Trump says. Like Trump can say, jump off a bridge, and they'll do it. So this guy's dangerous, man. This guy's dangerous, and Congress needs to make sure that he never becomes president again. There is a clause in the Constitution where they need 60 votes in the Senate, but they can vote to say this guy basically is incompetent and he wasn't a good leader, was a detriment to the country, so he's banned from being president again. And you have enough Republicans, in my opinion, in the House right now to pass this legislation. I mean, you got Mitt Romney, you have 50 Democrats, then you got Mitt Romney, you got Liz Cheney, and there's a couple of other Republicans in there who are like never Trumpers. I think they could get it done. But they're probably not going to do it. You know, Democrats, they don't, not only not want to do what it takes to win sometimes, they don't even want to use the laws that are available to them to make sure another coup doesn't happen again. So I highly doubt anything's going to change. But there you have it. Donald Trump looking into giving full pardons and official government apologies to January 6 members. All right, though, guys, that's the show for today. And I will be updating you throughout the week. If there's any notable news, there will be single segments on my channel. Also, I have a couple reaction videos I'm probably going to post later on. I think I did one to, can't remember who I was reacting to, but something about student debt forgiveness. But you'll see. There'll be more content coming out, but podcast will be dropping once a week, every day at Monday. Every week, Monday. Can't talk for I'm trying to do a podcast and can't even articulate my points. The podcast will be available every Monday on YouTube for now, and eventually we will come to Spotify once I get better equipment. And I'm very sorry too that the upload schedule has been all over the place. I think last time I uploaded at 11 in the morning. This one's going to be like 4:30 in the afternoon. But hey, I will try to get on a better schedule and try to be more consistent with upload times. But yeah, that's it, guys. Like the video, drop some comments below. And also next week we will be launching a Patreon. So if you like the show, want to support it monetarily, you could do the Patreon as well. And I'm thinking about launching a Substack too. Let me know if you guys want this to be on Substack. It'll be on all the major podcasting platforms. Hopefully by the end of the month, so by October, hopefully we'll be able to start uploading official episodes to Spotify. But yeah, appreciate you guys for the support and tuning in, and I'll see you next time.